Hey guys, it's Mr. Riz here, and I'm going to help you guys finish off 2-3 in Algebra 2. So this is going to be the last section here, the third day on this. And what we're going to do is make sure we understand first from day one how to factor a quadratic equation, and then two, how to solve the quadratic equation. And the third part that we're going to do today is how does this relate back to our quadratic graphs? Like how can we use that to help us out? So we're going to finish off the notes here. We have this little story problem. So we have Marco. He hits a ball into the air from the third level of a driving range that is 48 feet high. The function h of t is equal to negative 16t squared plus 32t plus 48. Gives the height h in feet of the golf ball in t seconds after it is hit into the air. When will the ball hit the ground? Okay, so if we wanted to, we have him hitting the ball here. If we were going to think about this, if I want to find out how high the ball is, after 1 second, I could take 1 and plug it into the equation, and that would tell me the height after 1 second. Or, I could plug in 2, 3, or 4. So I guess I could just guess and check to see when that ball is going to hit the ground. Or what we're going to do is think about this. Like if we had a graph here, like if this was the graph, this ball flight is following the path of a parabola. And the ball will eventually hit the ground here. Now that on our graph represents a 0. All right, when is the x-intercept, or where is the x-intercept, or when does the ball hit the ground is when the height is equal to 0. So if we want to solve this, what we want to do here is to take the equation, negative 16t squared plus 32t plus 48, and set that equal to 0. When will it equal 0? When does the height equal 0? That's when we can find out the t, the time that the ball hit the ground. Okay, so if we wanted to go ahead and solve this by factoring, we could see, okay, what two numbers multiply together to give us let's see, that's a huge number, right? That is a ridiculous, what's that, negative 700. Okay, I'm going to show you guys a trick we can do when we're solving story problems. Here's a trick to look out for. You can't do this all the time, but if you can divide all three numbers by a, go ahead and do that. It's going to make your life a whole lot easier. So we can divide 16 by 16. We can divide 32 by 16. We can divide 48. In fact, we're going to divide them by negative 16. So we're going to divide every number by negative 16. And technically, we also need to divide the 0 by negative 16. So now this becomes a positive t squared. This becomes a minus 2t. And this becomes a minus 3. And that equals 0. So now instead of figuring, okay, what two numbers multiply together to give us negative 768, we can be, okay, what two numbers multiply give us negative 3? What two numbers add together to get negative 2? So we'll think about that for a second. That'd be negative 3 and positive 1. And so we'll set it up. We'll have t minus 3 and t plus 1. And the nice thing about this is we don't need to divide by any number because we got rid of that number when we divided at the beginning. So there's just a 1 in front. So we're just going to set each part equal to 0. T minus 3 equals 0 and t plus 1 equals 0. And we get two answers. We get t equals 3 and t equals negative 1. Now, when it comes to story problems, we always need to double check. Do our answers make sense? Like logically thinking here, would the time the ball hit the ground is 3 seconds or is it negative 1 second? Well, we don't have, time travel abilities. We are not, we don't have a TARDIS or anything to transfer space and time. So it's not going to be negative 1. The time would be after 3 seconds. And so that we get t equals 3. Okay, so this wraps up our notes. I think it'd be a good idea to help you guys go through some of the CYU problems just to clear up some information. So let me clear this out and let me open up the CYU. Oh, I need to use my mouse. So CYU 2-3, CYU 3. Let's open that up. Let's see if we have any that look scary. Okay, so going through this, first couple problems are just factoring the expression. So we've gone through that. We're going to look for any story problems here. Solving by factoring, so you're going to minus that 30 over, factor it, set both parts equal to 0. Should be all right. All right, here's a projectile motion one, and yeah, we'll do that one. Okay, so here we go. So same thing here. Projectile, we're launching something into the air and it gives a height into, so just like how many seconds will the projectile land back at the ground. So if you want to pause this and try it on your own, feel free to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and solve it now. So just like the last, if we want to find out when it hits the ground, we're going to make it equal to 0. All right, so let's use that shortcut here. Can we divide both of these numbers by -16? Yeah, we can divide every single one by -16. So we get a t squared minus 2t, and this becomes a -8 equals 0. So what two numbers to get multiplied together gives -8? Add together to get -2. That'd be -4 and 2. So we get a t minus 4 and a t plus 2. Alrighty. So set both of these equal to 0 and solve both of them. And so we get t equals a +4 and t equals a -2. Which one makes sense? How many seconds would it be? Yeah, we're not dealing with the negative seconds. It'd be a +4 seconds. All right, now I'll help on the other ones. I'll just kind of describe you guys some tips that I would do. If I wanted to find out where the interval is positive, I would go ahead and actually, let's go through this one together. Like this one here, find out what passes through these, plug each one of these in and see which one goes through all those points. So this is a definite Desmos problem, number 5. But number 4 here, we can probably do this without using Desmos. And this would be a good one to practice for later on, like something for the ACT where you couldn't use Desmos. Identify the intervals where the function x squared plus 12x plus 7 is positive. Okay, so if you think about, we would have a parabola, and the parabola is going to cross the x-axis sometimes, and those are at the 0. So let's find out where those are. So let's factor the equation. All right, what two numbers multiply together to give us 27? What two numbers add together to get 12? And that'd be 9 and 3. So that means we'd have x plus 9 and x plus 3. And then that means x plus 9 equals 0, x plus 3 would equal 0, and we would have x equals -9 and x equals -3. So those are our roots on our graph. So on a graph, we have 1, 2, 3, -3, there'd be a dot there, 1, 2, 3, or that's what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's another graph. Okay, so the question now is, does the graph make a happy face, or does it make like a sad face? So we have kind of two options here that could represent that. So we look back at our A number here. A is technically 1. If A is positive, that means our graph makes a happy face. So we would definitely have this happy face. It wouldn't be sad at all. So if we want to name where it is positive, it is above the x-axis, everything to the left of -3, and when it's to the right of everything to the left of -9, so less than -9 and greater than -3. So less than -9 and greater than -3. Okay, or we can just plug that into Desmos and looked at the graph, but we could have figured it out without the graph too. All right, guys, so this wraps up this section. We are going to take a mid-chapter quiz over Chapter 2, just because Chapter 2 would be a little too long to go over everything at once. So if you guys have any questions, make sure you guys ask, but we got a review coming up and then a quiz at the end of the week. Have a great day.